Let's look back at November the 18th, 2012, and it was the debut from NXT of Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns, collectively known as The Shield. Now, you're looking at these young, scrappy guys right here, and you're like, that's not them. That's not those guys. Well, daggum. Yes, it is right there. Look at your side by side. You've got these guys dominating the world of professional wrestling right now. John Moxley, the AEW champion, if I'm not mistaken. Roman Reigns held the WWE championship for 1,316 days, and Seth Rollins held that first ever new version of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, a Money in the Bank winner, a Royal Rumble winner, a Grand Slam winner in his own right as well. So pretty big company right here, these three guys. Andy, what I want you to do before anybody that listens to this podcast knows that Andy has gone on record a gajillion times and said this is the greatest faction of all time. We can get into that argument if you want to. I don't think we need to, but give us some context, because I'll be honest, I was not full-time watching WWE at the time that the Shield debuted. Give us context as to their debut, what happened, how they were brought in, etc., etc.
Yeah, so this was pre-NXT. Like them coming in was pre-NXT.
It was pre the NXT that we know it as a now. They were in the middle of the FCW NXT.
It was between the game show NXT and what it has become now in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Seth Rollins was the independent guy, like the hardworking independent guy, worked in Ring of Honor and a couple other places, did a lot. John Moxley was the hardcore crackhead guy that he is now. That just is pure violence and everything else. And then Roman was the football guy that came in. So really these three guys encapsulate what professional wrestling is today, of your in-ring guy in the middle, your athlete with Roman, and then your, hardcore guy with John Moxley. Roman and Mox both were very rarely on NXT. I think they wrestled I know Roman wrestled 1 or 2 matches on NXT, I think. I don't recall, and I could be missing 1 or 2. I don't recall ever seeing Moxley wrestle on TV. I think he was mainly their FCW shows and their house shows and a couple other things like that. But Seth was the first ever NXT champion, did a lot of stuff. When they showed up, I remember really being happy for Seth Rollins and for Ambrose. Roman was the guy that was why is he in this group? And after a couple weeks, you kind of get the picture of Ambrose is the mouthpiece, Rollins is the worker, Roman is the powerhouse. And in my opinion, it worked to perfection. And everything since that moment on was just history. And, three guys who I think if you take out of the modern wrestling world today, wrestling does not look like what it does right now. And so it's crazy to see the impact that these three guys have had in their own way on professional wrestling.
I mean, it can't. Roman Reigns has the fourth longest WWE championship reign of all time. We're talking about Roman Reigns as one of the greatest of all time. And that picture that I just showed you in 2012, boy, barely knew how to wrestle. He came from the gridiron. And then Seth Rollins again was the workhorse guy, and he was the guy that was too small. He was the indie guy. He was never going to make it. Yeah. John Moxley was the guy that was too hardcore. He was,
promo. He was this generation's Mick Foley, who was too hardcore but could cut a promo.
And then somehow, some way, these three guys are on top of the wrestling business in 2020.